Now let me explain about the pathogenesis of aneurysms. Why these aneurysms are generally occurring in majority of the individuals who are suffering from long-standing cases of hypertension, or maybe the people who are suffering from collagen vascular diseases. So these aneurysms occur especially due to compromised structural integrity of the media. As a medical student, you should know that in vascular pathology, media is the one which maintains the structural integrity of the vessel wall, right? If the medial integrity is compromised, automatically we can say that the integrity of the entire vessel wall is compromised, because the integrity of the entire vessel wall is especially because of the media. So whenever the structural integrity of the media which is compromised, then there will be an alterations in the media in smooth muscle cells or extracellular matrix. So because of this, there will be a weakening of the vessel wall. So whenever there is a weakening of the vessel wall, plus there will be a high pressure of the blood in that particular area, automatically it pushes that particular anatomical location of the vessel wall, creating an outpouching of the vessel wall because of the weakened area, right? So aneurysms are more commonly associated with weakest part of the vessel wall. Remember that the integrity of the vessel wall is maintained by media. Whenever the structural integrity of the media is compromised, then the individuals more prone to the development of aneurysms. So this is what we need to discuss about the pathogenesis of aneurysms. Now, let us talk about factors associated with formation of aneurysms. As I already mentioned, media is the one which maintains the structural integrity, and the media is mainly made up of smooth muscle cells as well as extracellular matrix, which composed of the vast amount of collagen tissue. So whenever there will be an inadequate or abnormal connective tissue synthesis, then automatically we can say that there will be a development of aneurysm, again because of weakening of the media. So certain conditions where there will be mutations in the transforming growth factor beta receptors or downstream signaling pathways which are responsible for defective elastin and collagen synthesis is responsible for the development of aneurysm, because most importantly you should know that the transforming growth factor beta is the one which regulates smooth muscle cells proliferation and matrix synthesis. So whenever there will be mutations in the transforming growth factor beta, automatically there will be abnormal synthesis as well as proliferation of the smooth muscle cells as well as extracellular matrix. Eventually leads to the development of aneurysm due to compromised media, right? This is how we should understand what are the possibilities where media is compromised. The structural integrity of the media is compromised. Right? Now, let us talk about Marfan syndrome over here. Marfan syndrome is the best example for such kind of aneurysms, like whenever there will be a defective synthesis and the scaffolding protein which is present called as fibrillin is actually the culprit what we will see in the Marfan syndrome. So defective synthesis of protein fibrillin leads to an increased bioavailability of transforming growth factor beta. So even in Marfan syndrome, there will be an increased bioavailability of transforming growth factor beta in the aortic wall. So automatically that leads to a subsequent dilation because dysregulated signaling and progressive loss of elastic tissue. So this dysregulated signaling and progressive loss of elastic tissue responsible for weakening of the vessel wall of the aorta. Automatically in that area we can say that the vessel wall integrity is compromised or weakened. It leads to the development of aneurysms. Not only that, whenever there will be a defective type 3 collagen synthesis, also responsible for the development of aneurysms, best example for this category will be Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Even in such conditions, we can see aneurysms. Now, let us talk about excessive connective tissue degradation. What is the role of excessive connective tissue degradation in the formation of aneurysms? First will be activated macrophages in atherosclerotic plaque. So, we know that whenever there is a complicated atherosclerotic plaque, there will be activation of macrophages. So, this activation of macrophage is responsible for overexpression of matrix metalloproteinase, and these matrix metalloproteinase enzyme can contribute to the aneurysm development, because the name itself says that this matrix metalloproteinase is responsible for the degrading arterial extracellular matrix in the arterial wall, especially in the media. In the same manner, decreased tissue inhibitors of the metalloprotease or metalloproteinase, we can say, expression can lead to an increased extracellular matrix degradation, predisposes to the formation of aneurysms. So, this is the overall pathogenesis. What you can see is responsible for the development of aneurysm. So, remember that activated macrophages in the complicated atherosclerotic plaque is also responsible for degradation of the collagen because of the release of the enzymes metalloproteases or matrix metalloproteases, we can say, responsible for degradation of the extracellular matrix which is present in the media, that can eventually lead to a weakening of the vessel wall. So, this is one pathogenic mechanism. There will be a loss of smooth muscle cells, or maybe a change in the smooth muscle cell synthesis phenotype is also responsible for the weakening of the vessel wall and eventually lead to the formation of aneurysms. Now, what is the role of this atherosclerotic plaque in the development of aneurysm? One phenomena, we said that the activated macrophage by releasing the metalloproteases can degrade the extracellular matrix. That is one phenomena. Another phenomena is, in the atherosclerotic plaques, generally what happens is there will be a thickening of the intima. So, whenever there is a thickening of the intima, that can lead to ischemia of the inner media by increasing the diffusion distance from the lumen, right? Generally, remember that we have three layers of the vessel wall, right? One is the adventitia, second one is the media, third one is the intima. Adventitia as well as media receives its blood supply generally from the vasa vasorum, which is the blood vessel which supplies oxygen to the vessel wall. But endothelium is not receiving, which means the intima is not receiving its oxygen from the vasa vasorum, rather than it receives its oxygen directly from the blood by the process of diffusion. Not only that, the inner half of the media also receives oxygen or the nutrition by the process of diffusion from the blood itself. So, outer half as well as inner half, you have to divide the media like this in general. Outer half is mainly supplied by the vasa vasorum, which also supplies the adventitia. But majority of the inner half of the media which receives its oxygen mainly by the process of diffusion. So, whenever the intima is thickened in the atherosclerosis, what happens is there will be an increase in the distance between the blood as well as the media. So, because of the distance is increased, diffusion is always decreased. So, that is the reason you should say that in the atherosclerosis, because of the intimal thickening, that increases the diffusion distance, where the diffusion of the oxygen cannot take place to the innermost part of the media, leads to loss of smooth muscle cells as well as extracellular matrix at the innermost part of the media, but not the outermost, lead to the weakening of the vessel wall. For example, let us take another scenario. The patient is suffering from atherosclerotic plaque. At the same time, he is also a hypertensive patient, right? Listen very carefully over here. So let me write here, let us take patient 1 and patient 2, right? We have 2 patients over here. So in the patient 1, there is a atherosclerosis, and in patient 2, there is a atherosclerosis plus he is suffering from hypertension. So you need to know this in much more detail. So this is the vessel wall, right? This is the overall vessel wall. The outermost one is called as adventitia, the middle one is called as media, and the innermost is called as intima. And here is the lumen. This is the lumen. So there is a blood vessel which supplies the adventitia as well as the outermost part of the media is called as, this is the vasa vasorum, which supplies adventitia. This is the adventitia, and it also supplies the outer half of the media. Let me divide the media into outer half as well as inner half, right? Outer half of the media is supplied by vasa vasorum, but inner half of the media as well as intima, right? This is the intima, receives its oxygen by the process of diffusion, right? Now, in the patient 1, there is only atherosclerosis. The patient is not suffering from hypertension. In such condition, what happens here? There will be a thickening of the intima. So because of the thickening of the intima, there will be an increase in the diffusion distance, right? Because of this, less oxygen is diffused towards inner half of the media. So that's the reason there will be loss of smooth muscle cells as well as extracellular matrix at the inner half of the media. But what happens to the outer half of the media is absolutely normal if the patient is suffering only from atherosclerosis. If you take patient number 2, he is suffering from atherosclerosis as well as he is a chronic hypertensive patient. So in hypertension, what happens is there will be hypertrophy of vasa vasorum. So whenever there is a hypertrophy of vasa vasorum, what happens? The luminal diameter of the blood vessel, which is vasa vasorum, decreases. Because of the hypertrophy of the vasa vasorum, what happens to the luminal diameter of the blood vessel which supplies the vessel wall? Decreases. So whenever the luminal diameter decreases, less oxygen is supplied to the adventitia as well as outer half of the media, which means outer half of the medial oxygen supply is compromised, adventitial layer oxygen supply is compromised, and because of he is also suffering from atherosclerosis, the oxygen supply to the intima as well as the inner half of the media also compromised. So this is the most severe condition, right? If the patient is suffering from atherosclerosis plus hypertension, because it leads to a decreased oxygen supply to the entire vessel wall, including adventitia, media as well as intima. In such conditions, the integrity of the vessel wall is compromised much further, responsible for the weakening of the vessel wall and leads to the development of aneurysms, right? So that's the reason we can say that systemic hypertension can cause the luminal narrowing of the aortic vasa vasorum that leads to an ischemia of the outer part of the media. So such kind of ischemia results in smooth muscle loss as well as aortic degenerative changes, which includes the fibrosis, which means replacing the distendable elastic tissue is replaced by means of fibrosis. At the same time, because of decreased blood supply to the vessel wall adventitia as well as to the outer wall of the media in conditions like hypertension, there will be an inadequate extracellular matrix synthesis and also there will be an accumulation of increasing amounts of amorphous proteoglycans. All these are the factors responsible for weakening of the vessel wall and leads to development of aneurysms. As a medical student, these pathogenic mechanisms are extremely important for you to remember. Any condition, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Marfan syndrome, atherosclerosis, hypertension, any condition which causes weakening of the vessel wall predisposes towards the development of aneurysms. So, if you see the histological changes in this, histologically, these changes are collectively called as, whatever the changes which I explained, collectively called as a cystic medial degeneration. Although no true cysts are formed, generally we call it as cystic medial degeneration, but you cannot see any cysts in cystic medial degeneration. It is a misnomer, but you need to say that all these changes, because of the pathogenic mechanisms which I explained, you should say that it leads to cystic medial degeneration of the vessel wall, responsible for the weakening of the vessel wall, eventually leads to the formation of aneurysms. So such changes are non-specific and they can occur whenever extracellular matrix synthesis is defective, including in inherited disorders, as I already explained, in conditions like Marfan syndrome, as well as in acquired conditions also like scurvy, that is due to the deficiency of vitamin C responsible for the synthesis of collagen. So anything, any etiological factors or factor responsible for the decrease in the extracellular matrix synthesis, that is collagen synthesis, or decreased smooth muscle synthesis or proliferation, leads to a weakening of the vessel wall, decreased integrity of the vessel wall, responsible for the development of aneurysms. Here we need to talk about what is the role of hypertension as well as atherosclerosis in the development of aneurysms. So there are two important predisposing conditions for the development of aortic aneurysms especially, are atherosclerosis and hypertension. So if you see here, atherosclerosis is a dominant factor in the development of abdominal aortic aneurysms, but the hypertension is associated with ascending aortic aneurysms. So whenever you see the ascending aortic aneurysms, automatically you will say that the dominant cause is hypertension, but for atherosclerosis you can say that it is responsible for the development of abdominal aortic aneurysms. And other conditions, these are the two dominant conditions, but other conditions that weakens the vessel wall and leads to aneurysms include maybe trauma, vasculitis, congenital defects, infections, right? So infections means mycotic aneurysms are the best examples for this. So all these factors are least common causes we can say, but may develop aneurysms. But more commonly, atherosclerosis as well as hypertension are the two dominant causes of development of aneurysms. But remember, again and again I am repeating this point, atherosclerosis more commonly causes abdominal aortic aneurysms, but hypertension causes aortic arch aneurysms, right? So by this we completed the introduction of the aneurysms.